as promised, I'm gonna chop up some Molduga. We'll call it Kentucky Fried Molduga, because we're gonna cut up some legs today. So just a real quick update. Did do a couple of things while I was off camera for a while. Updated some of the bits here on the back, added some more details. We do have this area. It's should be pretty dry. Yeah, it looks pretty good. We'll probably kind of touch that up a little bit, but mainly we're going to address this issue here. So as you can see, the feet touch, decently on this side, but as you can see on the other side, go ahead and pull this over. They do not touch it all over here. And the reason for that is they need to go down a little bit further. Part of it's kind of like the fact that the Molduga is kind of leaning on one side, and I think that's to do with the fact that the belly's a little bit too round still. But yeah, we'll compensate for it a little bit. I don't expect them to touch 100%. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we're going to just hack them right off. So if you're triggered by removing body parts off inanimate objects, well, I don't know what to tell you. Gain some therapy from that. I don't know. For some of you, this may be therapeutic. So I'm literally just going to go and cut that sucker off. So let's start with this side. And I'll show you what I'm going to do here. So if you look at it, see it's kind of like it's a little bit off kilter. Now when I put it on, it looked dead center, but center line is here. So he's got to go down about an inch. So I'm just going to literally just slice this sucker off right here. Let's slice him. Let's slice and dice him. Let's go up here a little bit. I'll get everybody a nice fat close-up of that carnage. Yeah, see the arrow? So all I'm going to do is just going to slice right across here. They're like, what are you doing? Oh my gosh. Look at that. Wow. All right, so that's number one. Let's see if we can get this kind of even at least. I think right here. Whoops. Yeah, I think right here is probably a good spot. Let's get down here. Zoom out again. Get a good look at it. So just to kind of get them on the even side, we're going to do something like this. I think it doesn't have to be perfectly flat. I think as long as it's just kind of a little bit in the area we need it to be, right about here is good. Whoops. But I think that's probably a good place to start, like right about there. So what I'll probably need to do is, let's do that right about like this. We'll build it up with some foam. So I need a nice little wedge in there. Probably want to cut this up a little bit more to get some more of that black foam exposed. Well, no, do I really need to? I guess I really don't. Okay, so that's one leg. Let's start with that. So we just need some EVA foam, of which I've got a pretty good amount of some spare scraps that I can use for this particular section. Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, I think right about there is good. I think what we could do is cut this at an angle here. Right about there. I think that's good. Let's see. Yeah, right there. And then I think we're going to need to wedge it. So let me see if I can make a nice little shim out of this without slicing my fingers to pieces. It's all about getting your fingers cut. Let's try it this way. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I gotta get at least a decent angle on it. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll work. Well, if you came late, you missed me hacking off the rear leg, but don't worry, there's another one I can chop. So what I'm doing is we're just angling this back up. We're getting it even here. Get some light on this side. Right about there. All right, so let's glue this piece here. And then angle one in there. Yeah. Let's do that. So we'll need some glue. Believe it or not, this is going to be surprisingly easy to do if we do it right. Put some of that there. Just wait for some of this to dry off. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. Already looks good. All right. A little more glue here. Our wedge. And then cut a little bit here. Make sure we got enough glue in the space we need. Okay, that needs to dry a little bit more. So just waiting for this one to get a little tackier. Okay, good. This is feeling pretty good. All right. All right, looks like we solved the rear problem, so now we got both legs touching. And then it's just gonna be a matter of trimming off the excess and adding what we need. I think this will hold okay once it's all done up. Let me bring this back up again. Trim a little bit of the extra off. Looks good. Looking good. Put my glasses on. Let's see what we got here. Probably put another piece of foam in there just to kind of strengthen a little bit. And cut one to that shape. Yeah, I'll put one in there. So I'm just getting some glue in there. We're going to let it get tacky. And then we're going to wedge this little shim in here to add a little bit of extra strength once that's dried up a little bit. And then I think we're good on the leg, at least for the rear. Then we're going to work on that front leg. That's going to get the old hack and slash. So sharp, so deadly, so... It's like Attack on Titan, right? What? Okay. We want this to get nice and tacky on all sides. It's pretty good. I think it's doing pretty good. Let's just wedge that sucker in there. All right. And again, I'm just going to cut off some of that excess. And I think we're good. Let's take a look at the other angle. Yeah, I think we're good there too. Probably gonna need a little bit of time to really dry out, but that's okay. That'll take mere moments. So we'll let that kind of settle down a little bit. And then I didn't want to do this side. You probably notice there's all this stuff here, and then I've got it already layered on one side, covered with some skin. We're going to add some more fatty tissue on the sides here. I didn't do this side only because I wasn't sure how far I was going to have to chop the leg, and I didn't want to put any extra stuff I was just going to have to remove again later. So let's see what happens. So that leg's been fixed. They're now even on both sides. Both are touching the ground. More or less. Doesn't have to be perfect. They're going to get some pads underneath the feet anyway. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay. So now we're going to work on the front leg. That one's going to be a little, I don't know, might be the same. That was pretty easy. I thought it was going to be fairly easy. I didn't anticipate any real issues. But this front leg's got a lot more going on with it. I even considered just leaving it. Oh, it looks like he's walking, but I don't like the angle his foot's at. It's just, once it's down, it'll fix that problem. So let's zoom out here and get a good idea of how we're gonna, I want to just get straight across, maybe at a little bit of an angle, just like we're cutting a chicken leg. A lot more to cut through. This stuff's pretty strong once it dries. There we go. Ooh, yeah. This whole leg is a kind of a funky angle. I don't know if let me see. We might have to extend this one. Let's compare the size here now that we've got it off. Let me go over this way. All right, so yeah, the angle's definitely wrong. Scale's not too bad. Scale's not too bad, but I think the angle of the foot is actually in this direction. So we're gonna have to fix that. So first things first, that means we're going to put a wedge. We're going to tilt this foot this way. It's too angled out, right? It needs to be more flat. So let's work on that. I think it's probably already got a wedge in there somewhere. So let's cut it like this. Cut it straight across. Okay, that needs to go that's a pretty big wedge. Let's take a look and see what that looks like first before we go gluing stuff to it. Yeah, I think right about there. So pretty good size. Let's get a look at the front here. Kind of hard to get a good idea. And dead on, it's a little harder too. Let's put some pins in it for now. That'll at least give me kind of a guesstimate. I can always leave the pins in them. Sandwich the stuff in between some glue, give it a little extra strength. Although I don't honestly think it's necessary. Find some wire to use for that. That might come in handy. Trimming. And sometimes I've got wire everywhere, even when I don't need it. And now that I need it, I can't find it. This is aluminum. I don't want to waste that. This stuff's expensive. I just need a piece of rod. Piece of cheap rod. That's plastic, more aluminum. Where's all that tons of floral wire I had? All the trash in here. One piece of foam, we can use that. You can always use more foam. Let's try drawer number 2. There we go. There'll be some wire in here. It's electrical wire. Not really any wire I can use. This stuff will probably be okay for what I'm going to use it for. Let's just clip that. See a couple of small pieces of this stuff. All right, back up here. Uh-oh. Let's see. Too low. Oh, that just bent right out. It's way too high. All right, let's just wing it. That usually works great for me. Well, till it doesn't. Let's see. These two pieces will work great. All right. And we need kind of a wedge in here. Do I have a wedge already cut somewhere? Yeah, there we go. I need more of a wedge. Let's try cutting another one. Man, that's getting kind of hard. Do I have a square I can cut from? Ooh, perfect. That's just what I was looking for. Let's do, yeah, we'll do like this. And then like this. Might be too severe. Let's see. No, maybe not. That looks like that might work. Let's do the foot first. We can trim it up. Okay, that one's going this way. And then we're going to do this one the other direction. And I guess we're going to need another wedge in here. Pretty big one. Maybe just a spacer. Yeah, I think maybe just a spacer would probably work. Cut a little bit off of this. Just a hair. All right. Let's bring that in a little bit. We're going to straighten this out just a hair. That'll work. You might have to chop both legs off. Bring this one down, bring the other one down. Yeah. Let's bring that one down too. So more chippy chopping of the legs. This one's got a little bit of putty. I really don't want to do that, but oh well. There we go. Chopping legs all over the place here. All right, let's see. If I bring this one down, it's about right there. Put that one there. This one here. Give him a little bit of an extension. Let's put that one there. Further back, lift this one up. Yeah, all right, we'll do that. So little bit more leg chopping than I anticipated, but should work out okay. Just about the same area I anticipated. So that's good. We'll wait to put this one back on here in a little bit. So what we're doing, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this one a little bit of extra oomph also. You know, we'll add another chunk there for this side. Just for some strength. Let that dry a little bit. That's tacky. Looks good. It's always hard when these are so big, you know? Okay, I think we talked about doing this right here. Right about there. Yeah, looks good. And this guy, need to get it tacky, 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 tacky. You always gotta wait for this stuff to dry a little bit. I can go back and add all that fatty tissue I wanted to. I just hope I have enough material to actually work with. It's getting kind of sparse. Yeah, just a little sparse. Okay, let's put this on here. That looks good. Okay, back to the front. I want to make sure I don't tilt it too much so that both legs are suddenly lifting off the ground, so. Is it a good size? Make sure these legs aren't too off too. Yeah, they look pretty even. All right, we're good. We're good on that. I think we're good on that. Let's glue up some more. All right, let's get back this up here so I can see what I'm doing. Put glue all over because I don't know where I'm cutting it just yet. Look about right there. We're gonna let that tacky up and get dry, and then we'll go back and fix it. And while I'm at it, let's cut some of this excess stuff off. You know what? I could probably keep some of that actually. Just cut at an angle. little bit over here. All right. Not quite there yet. Yeah, getting there though, getting there. Almost done with this big bad boy. Let's get some light over here. Take a look at this glue. So it looks like we're going to be doing a little bit further down than we wanted to. Maybe. Not too far down. Okay, looks like it's about ready. So this is going to be kind of critical. I just got to make sure all the feet are touching the ground pretty flat while I'm putting this one on. And that this one is even with the other one. All right, let's take a look. Pretty close. Pretty close. All right, so not too far off. And all feet are now touching the ground. I think we're good. I think we successfully did a leg transplant, a couple of them. I wouldn't say transplant, more like repositioning for sure. Let's cut some more of this stuff off, a little excess. Shaving where we can, but not shaving too much, because if there's material I can use, let's use it, right? Okay, just gonna get some of those angles off we don't need. All right. I think we've successfully done it. Good. All right, let's start filling this stuff in. I'm not too worried about it drying out. And then I can do get back to putting the skin back on one side. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna fill in all these gaps now where I made all these changes. So I use the black stuff. What I've come to figure out is, and I've never used the black stuff before. I've used the gray stuff before. Black stuff is kind of new to me. And what I've come to figure out about the black stuff is it tends to dry quicker and a lot firmer. It's a lot less soft. I'd say I don't know anything about, they make a brown one too, this company. It's called Cal Palmy is the one I'm using. But this particular one, the black seems to be, I don't even mind these textures. That's kind of cool because that'll actually help it stick. The black seems to be a lot, not as soft and gummy as the gray is. The gray is a lot more forgiving, but this stuff is great for filling big chunks out like this. This is actually really good for this sort of thing. A couple little gaps here and there. Nothing too dramatic. Okay, looks good. Actually, I kind of prefer this the way I had it because Now at least the legs kind of stick out a bit. They were a bit tucked in. They were hard to get into these little armpit areas. Not so much now. All right. That's gonna be fun. Okay. Look at that skin texture. I'm gonna put a little super glue in that spot. Yep. Where is the glue when I need it? Here we go. We'll use this liquid stuff. Before I do that though, let me refill my little baking powder container. Once I can find it. Got some extra stuff up here, probably shouldn't. Move some of this stuff out of the way that I'm not using. Is that it over there? There it is. Let's put some more baking powder in here. All right. So what I need to do is fill in this little area here, right in there, with some glue. Well, you know what? Oh yeah, now I better use glue on that. This kind of glue. You know what I can do? Let's see. I wonder if I can just scoop some in there. And then do some glue. Well, let's see if this works. This is kind of a This is all or nothing or all or something. Whoa. Place to test this. Ah, dang it. I got the glue to come out first. Is it coming out? There it goes. All right. Glue's coming out. Oops. Eek. Don't get super glue on your hands, kids. You'll glue old receipts to your hands. That's just a known. That's just understood to be a universal truth. All right, well, that seems to have worked. Let's get that, apart from all big run of glue on the side, but that's okay, that'll get painted over. Not super concerned about that detail. Trying to save some of this. And actually, I said baking powder. For you in the Great Britain and Ireland and, well, everybody on those islands over there, you probably just know it as baking powder. What I'm actually using is baking baking soda or sodium bicarbonate. In the United States, and I don't know where else they make the distinction, but we have something called baking powder, which is slightly different. Just a little fun fact for you folks. All right, back to where we were. So now I can fill this up a little bit. Just clean that up. Dang it. This is why you got to keep a tidy work surface, folks. Tidy work surface. You know what? Screw it. I'm not even going to try to save it. Just need to get this putty in here before it dries out. Might already be too late. No, man. Seems like it's kind of dry. Yeah, it's a little bit dried out. Dang it. What can I use this on? Any gap filling areas? We'll just make more teeth out of it. When in doubt, make more teeth. I was going to try to get all the teeth out glued in today, but you know what? That's okay. This black stuff dries a lot faster than the gray stuff, like I mentioned. What's a big ugly creature without a couple of big black teeth? All right, those teeth are drying out. What's next? Oh, don't get any glue anywhere. Cover that stuff up. Probably not going to need that for a while. So, looks like the legs are fixed. Looks like that needs some work. Maybe not. Might need that glue out again. Let's see. I was going to do a little bit of gluing on the teeth too. Guess I'm going to need this guy after all. Let's put some in here. Very carefully. Another smear of glue along the tail. The other wires, that one's good. We'll do a little glue on the teeth here. Hey, what's up, Quijin? I don't know how long you've been here, or if you're still here. Are you still here? I don't know. Yeah, well, I can't tell who's on and who's off. 7:09. I don't know what time it is, but anyway. Yeah, I guess I'll do a full body shot of this thing in here in a second. Oh, just popped in. So you're still here. Okay, so I guess I'll show you where I'm at with this. Let me just put this guy down. Or actually, I guess might as well just hold him. There we go. So coming along. All right. And the part you missed was me repositioning these legs. Two of them weren't touching the ground, so I had to reposition 3 of the 4 legs and build this one up a little bit more. But they're fixed now. All 4 touching the ground, and they're all even. I don't know if you can see the tongue. Let me see if we can get a good shot of that tongue. There you go. That's what it looks like when you get eaten. Now, this is not done. I still have to put the gum line in, some more teeth, more gums here, a few more teeth here, lots more of this scaling, and I've got to put the skin over this part. If you saw my little Instagram about doing a building up underneath the skin and then coming back over it with this is what it looks like after you put the skin on over that. So, oops, little piece that's not supposed to be there. But yeah. And this is just a run of glue. It's all right. It's not going to affect it in the end. You can always put more putty over it. It's not a big deal. There's going to be big chunks of fat here too. Yeah, it's I like it. I think it's cool. I hope my nephew does. I'm sure he will. But the thing is freaking huge. So it's a little bit unwieldy. It's 3 feet long. So yeah, it's a bit of a yeah, it's just a lot to handle, you know. So I've got a few more teeth to glue in, some more texture to add, and then I've just got to finish his toes and some little minor details, and I might actually get to start painting it this weekend, believe it or not. Uh-oh. That part's not good. Looks like we got a little boo-boo here. See if I can smooth that out. I don't want it to look like it's squished. I can go back and fix this later, but I need to get it to a point where it looks fixable and intentional. Okay, so yeah. Colors. Do me a favor, Quidgen. Go to Google and do a search, just a quick search for Molduking, Molduking, and you'll see what color this is going to be. The Molduga's brown. The Molduga's got some pretty brilliant colors. It's mostly like a tan color, and then it's got these bright blue fins. And then the whole body is just like this crazy fire-bellied toad pattern, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fun to paint. And you can see I've already done the little stalactite looking rocky structures on its head and around its eyes. Probably going to add maybe a couple more little details, maybe one more in here because it looks like it's sort of uneven. I might trim these a little bit too because they're a little bit over the top, but yeah. Hey, 2 thumbs up. Awesome. I love thumbs ups. Thumbs ups are the best. So yeah. Let me get back to work on this little guy. I think for now, let me do I need a lot of filling in right now. We're going to do the skin and a couple layers of fat and some other stuff over the top of this. Mostly just filling in stuff. I use the gray stuff for more of the detail work. I use the black stuff for more of the kind of filler. Is what I've been doing anyway. Let's see. So this doesn't have to look super perfect. It just has to kind of be the flesh and fat that's underneath this thing. All right. And then I'll go back over it with the gray stuff and get some of this tissue. So basically, this side started like this side. So now I'm just kind of filling in some spots that need to be filled in. All right. And he's got a lot more fat around his like big gelatinous jelly arms. I'll be adding some more maybe along the side here too. The real trick is just because of the scale is just getting everything even. You know? Do I put more over on this side than I do on that side? Is it even on this side? Is there something missing? Making sure stuff sticks where it's supposed to. That looks okay. I think we're actually going to go with a bit more on fat on this shoulder here. Like a lot of fat. He's got quite big, gelatinous, gooey, fatty shoulders in the video game. So we're going to give it to him. Oh, I'm not sure I understand what you mean, but I'm going to say okay. Sounds like a pretty accurate statement. Do you mean like just knowing how much to add and how much to not add versus like just based on experience? Is that what you're talking about? Because, I mean, yeah, that's true. Once you've been doing this a while, you kind of get a better feel for it. Certainly, I think if you learn more about anatomy and how like subcutaneous fat and muscle tissue looks underneath the skin and things like that, that certainly becomes a lot easier as you get more accustomed to it. You know, so for example, these big fat folds. I think probably one of the easiest things you learn to do when you're first starting to sculpt stuff is muscles, right? Everybody knows we're all, oh, well, these got big muscles. I think making somebody or a creature or even a person or a character look overweight or just, out of shape is harder to do in some cases than just doing a big superhero with a bunch of muscles all over it, because there's a lot of nuances to it, without making it look like a blob. That's for sure. I'm going to add some more here. At least I'm going to try. This is getting a little harder to attach because it's starting to dry out on me. You can see where it's just sort of wanting to separate. Probably doesn't help that there's some kind of baking soda underneath it, which is probably making it harder to grip, but that's okay. Once this stuff dries, it's going to be nice and sticky. And we're just kind of adding some fatty details in here. Again, this is going to be covered up by the gray stuff once I get it done. I'll get this dumb thing out of the way. This useless stuff. I've got so many things on this desktop that probably just shouldn't be there. Let's get his other side done. But like I said, yeah, a lot of it's just, this whole thing is just so unwieldy. It's just so big. It's just really hard to work with, and a lot harder to work with, I think, unless you've got the space or the, you're just used to working with really big stuff. It's just harder to work with just because of the size. When you're working on a little bitty miniature, I mean, everything's just right there. It's a lot easier. At least for me, it is. I'm sure it's really hard for someone who's used to doing big stuff to do really small stuff also. I know that's true. I've heard sculptors who are working on miniatures for the first time, like something really tiny, complain about just like, God, man, I can't figure out where everything needs to go because it's just too small. You kind of like every little mistake is really super apparent because it's like, you mess up the eyes. I mean, they're not going to look like eyes anymore. It's just because of the scale. All right. But yeah, anybody watching, you're not sure what I'm working on, you're not familiar with this creature, just go on to YouTube or Google and just do a quick search for Molduga and you will get hopefully, you'll immediately recognize it as what I'm working on, if I'm doing this right. Otherwise, yeah, I got a problem, I guess. Probably need to rethink what I'm doing. If I'm not capturing it right. How's this fat? Let me just take a good look at this, see if am I getting this right. Don't really think it needs much more on this side, maybe just a little bit. Just a little top layer, give it a little bit of. Already looks like he's got quite a bit of fat on here. All right, looks good. I guess we can split this up into a couple of other layers. Maybe this needs to be spread out a little bit more. Yeah, it's not adhering too well on this side. That's not good. Let that cure overnight, see how that looks in the morning. I think I need to put 2 more right here, and then we're going to quit adding fat and go back to that skin addition. And actually adding the skin underneath, I mean on top, is probably my favorite part. Just because everything just kind of comes together at that point. Let's put some right here. Looks nice and even. Okay. So let's go ahead and start adding some skin to this side. We get to see it kind of tie together a little bit better. Running out of material, that's not good. Still got a long way to go. Luckily I still got plenty of gray stuff. Fortunately, I'm pretty much close to done. Now the skin, I don't like to do a whole bunch of it in one big like blobby layer. I like to do it in pieces. I'll usually just grab a little, you know, I guess what size would you call this? Little tiny meatball size piece of foam clay. And for starters, we're going to go over here and just kind of smooth some of this stuff out. First part we're going to do is this. And believe it or not, I sculpted 90% of this with just my fingers. I'm sure you could probably tell. If you're an avid sculptor, you probably already realize that. I didn't really use a lot of tools on this. It's so big. I mean, there's really almost no necessity to it, you know? This thing is so gigantic. It'd be pointless to spend any time trying to pick at it with little tools. There's some areas, little tight corners and things. Let's zoom out so you can see what this is doing. Get a little bit more light on here. So Kujin, if you probably, I don't know if you're keeping up with the Instagram stuff. I was kind of showing what I was doing here on there just in a quick video. Basically just kind of creating the illusion that there's bony structures underneath the skin, or, you know, fat, warts, things like that, without going too crazy. Yeah. That way you got this sort of illusion of structure under, you know, it's got an anatomy of some kind, right? Plus, you know, if there's any areas that I need to fill in to make it look a little bit more like right here. Smooth out any spots, or keep an eye on, you know, and as I keep adding stuff to this, I can always go back and fix it if I mess it up, you know what I mean? Yeah, I post, you know, I'm sorry about that. I mean, I post really at random. I'm not one of these people that's super consistent with my posts. I tend to just kind of like, oh, I got something, I'm gonna do it, or I got some free time. My free time is primarily based around like, well, what do I have planned with my wife that evening, or, you know what I mean? I'm not doing this full time, and, you know, I got to work, got to pay rent, so I got to keep my job, so I can't do it while I'm working. So this is sort of like after school special stuff, you know what I mean? I try to post. You know what? You say that, but I guarantee you, if you look, you'll see, oh, um, I posted something, right? And then if you look closely, if you really pay attention, you'll notice when I'm working on something, I'll post like pretty frequently as I'm working on it. But in between those two projects, you might have seen I might not post for a whole month. It'll be like, oh yeah, I'm just busy. I don't have time to work on some toys today, so I'm not going to post anything. It's kind of like with my YouTube channel. It's like, oh, you know, I'd love to be posting stuff every week, but unfortunately, I just don't have the time. I'm not working all these things all the time, 24/7. So I want to make sure I get that little guy. I don't know if you can see this. There's like these little dimples that I put on underneath. I want to make sure I get those to show through, because those will look cool once I paint them. And then I'm trying to get a little more layering in here. A lot of the detail that I'm putting in these is going to swell out. So if I put too harsh a line on there, I'm not super worried about it. And as you look at it, the foam clay has its own kind of texture, which gives it, kind of looks like skin anyway. So it's just fun all around. So, I mean, this stuff's really good for these big projects like this, because like I'm working on something right now and with Cos clay, and that stuff's, I love that stuff. That stuff, it is so cool. But imagine if I made this out of Cos clay. I mean, it would weigh about 20 pounds, even if I made a frame underneath it. This thing barely weighs about a pound and a half, if that. It's super light, which is good because, you know, it's going to be used by a little kid, as I've mentioned. So you don't want a little kid picking up something or messing with something that could potentially break a window. But yeah. Yeah, it is what it is, right? My wife likes to say that. It always drives me nuts. But, all right. Yeah, but having something this size that you can just pick up and toss around the room and not worry about breaking it or anything around it, a lot of boons to that. I'm not that concerned about fingerprints either because I can always go back and smooth those out. Even after it's dry, I can sand them or cover them up with more putty. It doesn't matter. And I'm trying to put as many little wrinkle details as I can in here. Press into, like I said, get some of these little spots where there's some detail. If you just look at a quick photo of the Molduga, and I made this mistake myself, any kind of image, or if you're just playing the video game, you don't think there's all this detail in there. And then when you start, digging into it, really getting into the bowels of internet research, and you start looking at multiple videos, you start realizing this thing is covered with texture of all kinds that you just kind of, I don't know if you just take it for granted or you don't see it the first go around, but I did not see any of this stuff until I went back and like really looked at it and I was, oh, that thing's got some serious. This isn't even all the detail I'm going to put on this. This is just the stuff that kind of like I'd want to stick underneath the skin to kind of, make my life easier. I'm going to go back and put probably some more little rough dots like I did over here. But even the little imperfections in this stuff, it just lends itself to a very organic looking creature. If you look really close, stuff like this, it just looks like little veins underneath it, So I'm like, fine. It doesn't have to be really super smooth. I'm fine with that. Again, I'm just kind of gently pressing in here. Okay. Sorry if I get quiet, guys, because I guess when I'm concentrating, I get quiet. It just means I'm thinking this through in my head as I'm doing it. Okay. Maybe the only thing I'm trying not to do is leave too many fingernail lines. Well, it looks like there's 2 people on. If you haven't already given a thumbs up and you like what you're seeing, click those buttons. I do appreciate it. Like I said, I don't do this for a living, but I do appreciate when somebody appreciates. I appreciate when you appreciate. Oh, there you go. That's a ticket. We appreciate the kind that appreciates around here. Heck, if you're not subbed, do that. That's even more fun. I'm hoping I can hit 500 before the end of the year. I don't think it's going to happen, but dreams sometimes come true. Let's get some of this. loose powder off of here, because that might make it very difficult for this stuff to stick. If you see me kind of switching back and forth, or like right now I'm using my left hand, I'm not left-handed. I'm not really super right-handed. I am pretty right-handed. I guess that's really just how they taught me. I'm actually pretty ambidextrous. I do a lot with both hands. That's, I don't know if there's a whole lot of people around like that. I don't know if that's a real thing even. But I do use my left hand for a lot of stuff. Sometimes sculpting, sometimes drawing, mostly things like playing pool, bowling. I do left-handed. I can shoot left-handed, right-handed too. So, and apparently sculpt. But I think a lot of artists kind of use both hands pretty deftly in general. I don't know if it's just conditioning, or it could be the opposite. It could be that maybe we all kind of have. I know there's a right foot, left foot, right hand, left foot, left hand dominance thing, but I don't know if that. A lot of times, I wonder if that a lot of that's just conditioning, as opposed to natural selection on the part of the kid. But I don't know much about that stuff, so don't take my words for it. I'm not a doctor or a lawyer. I just happen to be really good with both hands at certain things. And I might tone this down a little bit if it's a little bit too, pronounced, but I think it's probably going to be fine. The paint's going to make up for a lot of the extra details too. Oh, something got in my eyes. Oh, I'm dying. Some of that baking soda. That stuff. Kids, you don't want baking soda in your eyes. Just letting you know. Don't do it. Don't put Tide Pods or baking soda in your eyes, please. And if there's some dodo kid out there who's thinking of doing it, well, I feel bad for your parents. Like, really? Come on. People say it, call it common sense, but apparently not everybody. If it were so common, I guess more people would have it. Some of the stuff I hear people do these days just makes my head spin. Okay. We're getting into the nitty-gritty. And believe it or not, I'll probably go back over this again tomorrow. You know, just to cover some little spots that didn't dry ride or left some cracks or areas I didn't like. But for the most part, we're pretty much done with this guy. You know, not a whole lot left. For all you ASMR junkies, this is the ASMR part of the program. I guess, because I'm not really, sorry, I'm just kind of in my own zone right now. Too bad I can't just make up my own monsters and have them come to life by doing stuff like this, right? Wouldn't that be fun? New from Bots to Beast Genetics. It's living clay. That's right. Just sculpt anything you like. Give it 24 hours. It'll come to life. That might be really scary, actually. I can come up with some pretty creepy looking things. But I bet it'd sell out in one day. Yes, indeedy do. I bet it would. So I remember in a previous video I mentioned how I was going to do this with overlapping pieces of foam clay or EVA foam. I ended up not doing that. Turns out I got away with just using the black foam clay and just making sure that I pressed it. You can see where I kind of pressed it against the edges here. And it held nice and tight. And then I went back over it. So it looks like it's over the gray. There is actually, it was one piece here that was a little thinner. I put this piece over it, layered over that, let that dry, then came back with another piece and overlapped it again. So it's kind of like double overlapped, if that's a thing. But hopefully that'll give it enough strength to survive all the beatings it's going to take. It's going to get a little bit added layer of strength and resilience once I put the coating over it, the Cause Flex. And I'm not supported by these guys. They don't pay me anything, but this stuff's awesome. It's a kind of clear goo. Feels like I got enough for this project, but I'll have to buy another tub. This stuff's great. So basically it just puts a nice gooey layer over this entire thing, keeps it from drying out so that it maintains its flexibility. And I don't mean like drying out as in this stuff never cures. It cures, but if you leave it too long open air, it just gets brittle and it'll lose its flexibility. And so it's nice to have a little bit of a coating, especially on something like this that's going to get handled quite a bit. That's kind of the real test of this thing's durability is going to be time. But I've made some other stuff with it that's lasted a couple of years so far, and haven't experienced any problems, and that's painted. And in fact, I'm going to fill this, or not fill it, but add a tint to it with some acrylic. So this whole thing's going to be completely brown at one point before I start painting it. And I just realized that I haven't been charging my phone this whole time. Before I get disconnected. 5%. I was at 5%. That's not good. So here we're going into this sort of gooey fatty layer here. And this stuff's actually not super dry, but it's dry enough to where I can start putting stuff over it, which is nice. So can kind of tie in a lot of this together. And you can see how the layers of fat I put down before kind of end up blending in almost entirely. Any sharp corners or edges I can kind of cut off or blend in later. This guy's leg is going to get a little fatter before I'm done, so just a little side note on that. This is just kind of like all the body fat I wanted to add. I'm kind of waiting to do the feet until the end, just because I'm you know, they're getting a lot of use right now. That's where this thing rests, and all the stuff on top is really, really wet. I mean, not really wet, but wet enough to where I don't want to have to be worried about it. Yeah, any of this other stuff I can kind of sand down later. Let's get down here, fill this guy's little area up. Yeah, nice little piece of chubby fat right there. The other thing that's great about this creature and this material that I'm using for it is it's a pretty textured creature. So any little imperfections I just kind of pawn off as, yeah, happy accident. It's not a bug, it's a feature. See if I can get this one filled in. Not too much trouble. Okay. So the idea is this is a big fatty gooey area, right? These are like big rolls of jelly fat. Same thing here. Uh-oh. Some issues with this adhering. That's not, again, that's kind of just something you have to work around. You'll notice that this is a pretty deep crease right here. That's going to swell in. There was a fairly deep crease right here, and it's already kind of disappearing as it dries. That's just something about this material you have to be conscious of. It swells up. So you might think you put in a bunch of detail and you wake up the next morning and it's gone. You pretty much have to, you kind of plan for that a little bit. And then you go back over, like let's say this area right here where I'm putting this little crease right here. That might not be completely there. It might be a hint of it in the morning, but it might be swollen out to where it's just, you know, you don't even see it anymore. So what I'll do in that case is I'll make a little weenie roll like this, and I'll come back in and I'll accentuate the delineation from layer 1 to layer 2. just a little bit so that you can kind of tell there's something supposed to be there. But yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that some of this stuff is going to disappear by morning. That's the other reason I put layers underneath, is so that that rigid kind of substructure still sticks out. So when it swells, there's still something there, like the detail's still kind of in place. This makes it a little easier to deal with. I'm going to stop here in a little bit and I get everybody a look at the thing from a distance, so you can see just how big this thing is and how far it's come along. But let me zoom out here a little bit. Oops. And incidentally, and I think I mentioned this before, if I'm making this look easy, then that's good, because it's not. It's this stuff is. I've mentioned this many times. If you're gonna venture into like using some of this foam clay, take everything you know about regular clay, air dry clay, or let's say polymer clays, and kind of throw it out the window. It's just not that friendly. This stuff is like, it's like working with boogers. It's like working with really soft pre-chewed bubble gum, and it dries out on you a lot quicker than you want it to. But it does, like I said, and I can't say this enough, it has tons of advantages over polymer clay, not least of which is the weight. And I don't mean as in wait time, I mean WEIGHT, weight. Yes, I can spell. It's true. I went to school and everything. I mean, look, this thing weighs nothing. I can probably throw this across the room and wouldn't injure it, wouldn't injure anybody else. It's super light. And I'm definitely, when I say it's not super difficult, I mean super easy to work with. I'm not trying to scare anybody away from using it. Absolutely try it. It's really fun. At least for me it is. Once you get used to it, you just have to understand the limitations of what you're working with. You know, there's a lot of advantages to polymer clays. I'm seeing that a lot with cause clay. That stuff's awesome. Probably going to be doing more projects with that in the future. But this is also, the other thing I like about this is it's really cheap comparatively for the amount you get. This is like, I think, what was this, 500 grams for $20 roughly, about that. Good luck getting 500 grams of polymer clay for $20. That just doesn't happen. Well, I'm hoping I captured sufficiently the gooey fatness of this thing. I think I did. Let me build up his arms a little bit here. I wish I'd taken pictures of this when I chopped off his legs, but I guess I've got video of it, so that's good enough. All right, I'm almost out, so This session's almost, I've been up an hour and 41 minutes doing this so far, at least this video. I'm going to be working on this pretty much all weekend till it gets done. So if you missed any live, don't worry, I'm posting it. But you can catch some live on your own probably throughout the week. And I don't know when I have time to work on this stuff. I mean, it is the holidays, so it's kind of one of those, when I can, I'll do it. I'll get to it when I get to it, you know what I mean? Uh-oh, that's drying out. Looks like this was starting to dry out a little bit on me. I want to get some wrinkles in there. All right. All right, let's take a quick look at it, where we're at now. There you go. There's the Molduga. Molduga. And we'll do a couple of close-up shots so you can see where we're at with stuff. There's the tail. Big fatty leg. This is going to get much chunkier before I'm done. This is not nearly chunky enough. Well, maybe. We'll see. I'll have to look at it. I know he's got little bitty legs, and they're fat. He's got kind of rounded off little gecko toes, too. So there you go. There's that. Let's flip him around. Flippy, flippy, flippy. Oh, so big. You're so big. And God, you don't weigh much. There's the other side. You can see I already did some of the back there. More tail. There's some more fat. We'll cover that up later. There's the head. Let's get a shot of the head. A little shot of the spine here. Whoops, that's a shot of me. Hey, hello! I don't even know how to fix this. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Revealed. All right, let's take a look at his face and his mouth. There's his tongue. There's his teeth. These are going to get some gums. I didn't have time to put them in because I want to take a break, frankly. Let's see. We got some texture here underneath and on the sides. And I challenge anyone to go ahead and just go online, take a look at this versus what the real one looks like. I think you'll find that I captured, hopefully, a pretty accurate interpretation of what this guy looks like. All right. And now all four of his legs touch the ground, so that's good. So with that, anybody who joined, hey man, thanks very much. Quidgen, if you're still on, awesome, I appreciate it. Let's see. Would I redo this another? Yeah, I think I covered that. I definitely would not have been able to accomplish this with any other type of material. I will say also, this is not 100% foam clay. This has a very, very big substructure made up of EVA foam. You know, this stuff. Let's get some light on that. So this is just EVA foam I bought in sheets. I cut it in circles. I basically built this whole thing out like, and I've mentioned this before, kind of like a Zeppelin or an airship. So it's got sort of rings that kind of go all the way concentric, not necessarily concentric rings, but there's a whole framework underneath this thing that I then actually put panels on, like skin, big chunks of this stuff that I glued, you know, panels like this in between the skeletal structure that I created. And he's mostly hollow. There isn't, I mean, there's like, if you could probably fit a couple, 3 or 4 baseballs in this thing. I had considered leaving his mouth actually open so you could, but I didn't want my you know, my little nephew throwing his toys at it, and then having to get a call, you know, a month later saying, hey, yeah, your nephew threw our car keys inside it, and now you've got to come over and cut it open, or we had to slice it open with a knife. Can you come and fix it? So the choice was to keep the mouth sealed off. So it is sealed off. But yeah, if I wanted to hide something in this, I could probably hide something pretty substantial inside it without too much of a problem. Looks like that's not connecting too well back here, that tissue. I'll have to go back and fix this. Might have been the clay was getting a little dry in my hands. But yeah, that gives you... I'm going to go back and trim these up, probably put some glue in between and give them a little bit more strength. Layer it up a little bit, sculpt some more up here, and up on this side, add all of this stuff over here. Yeah. But yeah, I probably made more progress on this thing in the last 2 weeks than I have in the last 2 years, just because I've had a lot more free time. But there he is, in all his gooey, gelatinous glory. You know, if you're familiar with the game, then you probably know what this is instantly, hopefully by now. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys go there. Again, appreciate it. Anybody who watched or is going to watch later, if you haven't already subscribed or liked it, please do. I appreciate it. I do. Like I said, I don't do this for anything except just usually 90% of the stuff I make is as a gift for somebody else, or just, you know, to be sitting on the shelf like that, kind of trashed out. Yeah, just for fun. It's mostly fun. Just keeps my hands busy. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.